So I did 20 years in the Marine Corps, and in the Marine Corps we had this saying, which is adapt and overcome. And that's kind of where we are today when it comes to a bike shop. It seems like things have changed, we're in a disruption phase, and we must adapt and overcome in order to be successful. So let's talk about e-bikes real quick. So I remember specifically Interbike 2018. When I was at Interbike in 2018, I was working in the cycling industry for the Summerfest, and actually I met Chip Hawkins there. It's before I started working at Wahoo. It was a great experience. I love bike conferences. I miss them so much. But at this bike conference, they had an outdoor exhibit where they actually showcased e-bikes. And I remember I had a preconceived assumption or notion or judgment at the time that these e-bikes were stupid. They were never gonna take off. And who would want to ride an electric motor anyways when you can just ride your bike for the fitness? And here I am today owning a bike shop that has e-bikes that are selling quite well. Now, in the beginning of my bike shop journey, when I first opened the bike shop, I did get a lot of phone calls specifically around e-bikes and e-scooter repair, So people were calling up, do you fix e-bikes? I have a problem with my e-bikes. And initially I was like, no, I don't really do it. And there was a lot of no's, but then I just started saying yes. Now from those yeses, we've had a humongous learning curve. For instance, noticing right away all the demand in the local marketplace for e-bike and e-scooter support. Not just brand names like Specialized and Giant and Trek and Pivot and things like that, but just general e-bike stuff that you can buy on Amazon. You have to start saying yes. I mean, there's such a business opportunity there. So we went right after, or I specifically went right after Bosch certification, Fazua certification, and we're working on Befang certification at this time. Now, most of your general Amazon e-bikes are not going to have certifications. You got to work through that, which poses a particular problem if you're not a very tech savvy person and you're not an electrician or no electrical engineering or controllers or things like that. But that can be solved. Oh, and I did leave out one company, Shimano. For some reason, I've been trying to contact Shimano for like 8 months, and is there a certification program? Like, Shimano won't call me back? Did I do something wrong? I don't know what's going on, Shimano. But anyways, let's get back to general e-bike repair services, and then we'll talk about the difference. So when we look at e-bike, general e-bike repair, I mean, it is very intimidating, right? Because you have names like JSON and Electric and GoTrax and Levy and what are some other ones, Aaron? Angway and all kinds of names, right? And so I have Aaron back here working on Electric. Now, one of the problems I had personally, now this is a personal problem I have, but I think this carries to a lot of bike shops, is you don't really want to get into the e-bike service and repair because the person in the bike shop is a huge bike snob, like me. I am willing to admit that I am a tremendous bike snob. Like, I made a mistake before thinking that e-bikes were never going to take off in 2018 when I was in Reno, Nevada at Interbike. I have made a mistake in the very initial part of opening my store, not taking in e-bikes or e-scooters or being worried about the complexity of these systems and could I actually fix them. So we're going to talk through this for a second, but I can tell you without a doubt, in my mind, this Electric is the fuggliest e-bike I've ever seen in my life. And to me, as a bike snob, I don't like the way it looks, but here's the thing. There is somebody out here that bought this e-bike, absolutely loves it, and is paying us money to fix it. So it doesn't matter what I think. It doesn't matter what, if I don't like it, doesn't matter what it looks like. None of those things matter. What matters is there's somebody who owns this e-bike, loves riding it, is getting outside, and needs repair, needs it to be fixed. Like the other Aaron here, who we hired, which we'll get into now as a bike shop owner. So hiring a general mechanic, bike mechanic, may not work anymore. Not to say you shouldn't have a bike mechanic in your store, but I'm a really good mechanic. I've probably fixed over 400 bicycles now, gone through almost every issue, and I consider myself near expert level. Not to the level where I have everything memorized, where I can't tell you exactly how many links you need to cut out of a chain for a XO1 system on a mountain bike that has a pivot, adjustable back end. There's all these. That is a true expert, somebody from memory who can remember all the different bottom bracket sizes, the exact specific specifications, chain line specifics, all those things. I'm not quite there yet, but I'm gonna be there. It's just a matter of time. You just get in and do the work and figure it out. But when we get into e-bikes or servicing these kind of e-bikes, you're really looking for different type of people. And the kind of person that you really need to be looking for, like where would you find a person who could also service bikes and who could help you on the e-bike side? Well, probably a great place to start looking would be the remote control RC car realm, or somebody who builds drones and is into drones, or somebody who's into building remote control airplanes, because a lot of these components and pieces of the remote control world with their motors and their electronics and their wiring and their signals translates very well over into the e-bike realm. So your next hire may not be a cyclist who rides their bicycle all the time and knows everything about bicycles. It may be somebody who's more into controllers and motors and systems and firmware and software than they are an actual cyclist, and that's okay. So when we specifically go back into this electric, which is just some generic e-bike that you will find, and there's many different names. There's probably 1,000 e-bike companies on Amazon that have online presence. You know, they're still using bicycle brakes, but within those bicycle brakes that they have on those e-bikes, there's one note: you're gonna wanna use semi-metallic, metallic, or sintered brake pads. Because the e-bike is heavier and it's moving at faster speeds, you really need those metallic pads to last over time and brake under force when the rotors start heating up. You know, metallic pads brake better when they're hot than organic pads do. The other consideration too is that the shifting and the freewheel is all pretty much the same as a bicycle. Most of these using 7-speed freewheels that you just kind of screw on. Now I see a lot of people coming in on these with these bicycles and trying to get the freewheel off, and what they do is they tap out that top bearing cover and then remove the gears instead of the freewheel themselves, because they don't have the tools or understand how to get a freewheel off. And you'll experience that. You'll have very handy mechanical kind of people trying to do their own e-bike repairs, but they're still coming into the bike shop with the bike in pieces and parts and not understanding how to get a new hub on, or how to get a new freewheel on the bicycle. Derailleur adjustments are basically the same. Now you may have different chain lengths and you may not be able to use standard chains. We haven't ran into this yet, but you may actually just need to get a roll of chain that you cut to length for the specific e-bike. And then other lengths are a problem too. So when we look at the brake system, some of the bikes are like this electric here is very extended, wide bicycle. You know, you need a brake and shifting cable that's larger than 2,300 millimeters. And that is kind of a non-standard size that you get in the boxes of your bike shop to pull for regular bicycles. So you're gonna have to have some non-standard equipment and a variation of brake pads stocked in the shop that you may have not stocked before. Same thing goes with e-scooters. We do a lot of e-scooter repair. Nothing terribly difficult, but once you work your way through the problems, you start to see a lot of similarities between the Levy scooters and the GoTrack scooters and all these different types of scooters, when you should put a hard tire on and things like that. Let's look at the electric a little bit closer. Actually, before I get to the electric, let's just talk about the more advanced systems. So Bosch and Fazua are more advanced systems when it comes to e-bikes. I can plug my computer into this system here. It has a computer system in the motor. The batteries usually have another CPU inside the battery to manage the communications. Like the battery has its own responsibilities, managing temperature, different things as I've gone through the training and learned. And I can hook things up to the motor, map different parts to the bicycle. And it is way, way more advanced. That's why it's more expensive, way more advanced. And there's been way more testing done on these Bosch systems and Fazua systems, and even some of the Bafang systems than you see in these Amazon bikes. But there's a lot of similarities. Like real quickly, motor, battery, control unit, display, some sort of sensor for speed and cadence in the back, and then that's about it. So let's take a look at the electric now. So with this electric e-bike, really we got a rear hub motor system that you can actually take apart. I mean, it's just got the freewheel on here that comes off with the freewheel tool. You got a derailleur sitting on the back. You could use a standard chain on this one, it's not a problem. But the motor can be removed. Some of the things we've seen people do on their own is remove the motor to try to grease it and then put the motor back on. But then there's water intrusion because nobody thinks about putting the seal around the motor edge when you're putting the motor back in, and then we get water intrusion. Inside these internal motors are control boards. Now, control boards is something we can't fix. I don't know anybody can, because we've kind of lost the ability of doing control board repair. I don't even know if we're building control boards in the United States anymore, but Yeah, the motor has a control board, and that's what's kind of controlling or figuring out the stuff in the back end. And then from a lot of these motors, we do have disconnection points. The worst e-bikes that I've experienced is you don't have a motor disconnect. Those are the really cheap ones. And that makes it super difficult to drop the wheel, because then you got to be cognizant of the power supply that's still connected to that motor. Drop the motor with the power cord still attached, and you're going to rip the cable and break the person's e-bike, which gets very expensive since the motors run anywhere from $200 to $400 to replace the back end motors. The next thing we're going to see here is somewhere in this system is going to be a control unit. So in here, there's going to be a battery and a control unit. Now, on the cheaper e-bikes, the battery may be or is possibly external, not internal, but you'll have some sort of control unit. You can test battery, you can test motor power through there, but again, that's is kind of why I needed to hire somebody who understands these things. Where's your little voltmeter thing at? For instance, somebody who understands to use what I call the two-prong doohickey. I don't know how to use this thing, but you need somebody who knows how to use this thing to test just basic connections and to see if power's moving through, chargers are working, things like that. Now that we've gotten through the battery or the motor to the battery to the control unit, then you actually have a display unit up top, and then possibly some sort of throttle device that's controlling some of the general e-bikes that a lot of people are buying because they're under $1,000. Now, a lot of this stuff is just all plug and play. Basically, if you want to know which new connector you need to buy or part you need to buy, you count the number of prongs, see what color it is, and then you search for it on Amazon. I mean, and if the company, because a lot of these companies are using these same parts across all these different bikes. Even though there's 1,000 different e-bikes on Amazon, there's only like maybe 10 different display systems that we're seeing. Even if it says electric on the top, that's just a branded display system that they did at the factory, and they just do the logos and stuff on top of the components for the company because the company bought 10,000 of them. They do the same thing for all these other companies. Now let's talk about the difficulties we've had working with these general e-bikes, but the missed opportunity you may have as a bike shop if you're not servicing these things. So generally speaking, we have a JSON and another e-bike sitting over here that were unfixable. These are unfixable e-bikes. What ended up happening in these transactions is we went through and tested them, and there was controller failures of some sort, or there was connection failures of some sort. And these though led to sales of e-bikes on the floor, finance sales of e-bikes on the floor. And by not taking in these e-bikes, you're missing an opportunity to sell e-bikes that you have in your shop, by the way. But the problems we have with most of these e-bikes that people buy on Amazon specifically is that as we try to work through these problems with the customer, what we're seeing is delay after delay after delay. JSON and this other company here, I mean, we're talking weeks just to get a price quote. And then everybody wants a video showing of how you're troubleshooting it, what the problems are, and it just takes an extremely long time to get any of this stuff resolved if it can be resolved. Let's talk about that, how these things are troubleshoot, what the difference is between Bosch, let's say a Bosch system, and these systems, and how we resolve issues. So when somebody brings in a e-bike from Amazon, I don't have all the parts or pieces to fully troubleshoot or do hot swaps and things like that. We really got to kind of test things with the two-prong doohickey, I called it, and see what's actually going on, and if it's keeping current or where there's faults and things like that. But a more expensive, let's say a more advanced or expensive e-bike system like a Bosch or Fazua motor system, you get all this software, and then you get all these cables and kits and packages and extra screens and things like that, which makes troubleshooting so much easier. All these different controls. Bosch even provides a battery checking system. Like, we can go through a full Bosch system and probably get it out the door within 4 to 7 days, let's say, if we needed to order a part. And then all the parts are available for us in the United States. That's the other problem I have with these Amazon e-bikes, is there's just no parts availability. Where do you get the parts? Like, we'll try to find the parts on Amazon, or we'll try to contact the company, but it's all very, very frustrating at times, which then leads to an upsell to a new e-bike. But with the systems that we know, which is Bosch and Fazua, which are fantastic systems, we can troubleshoot these quickly. There's software systems in place, there's training in place, and we get things resolved as quick as we can for the customers so they get their bike back out on the road. But you know, I love having these things. I love having my service kit for everything that we need to fix a Bosch system, or even do a winter maintenance package and drop the motor, clean everything out, and do all that stuff, which we're going to do plenty of videos of those in the future. So this is what I mean by disruption. Maybe a regular bike shop owner would have been completely horrified by what I just showed them there because of the snobbery to a certain extent. And I won't deny it, I got it too. I got a lot of snobbery. I like high-end bikes. I like expensive bikes. I like electronic shifting. I like carbon fiber wheels. I like training, I like doing long rides, you know, all these things. And e-bike is kind of something completely different. E-scooter feels like something completely different. But guess who they're calling when they have problems? They're calling the bike shop. And if you don't, like I said in the beginning, you have to adapt and overcome. And I think that's where this is going here in the future. Because every e-bike, cheap e-bike I get on Amazon that comes in the store is a future bike sale, really. From a bike brand that I can actually repair, that has a supply chain in the background, and it's just all future bike sales, it's all future scooter sales, and then sometime in the future, this will all work itself out. These thousands e-bike manufacturers will slim down to 100, which will slim down to 50, which will slim down to 20. And the ones who have the best customer service, who are in bike stores, who have a supply chain to fix parts, those are the bike companies that are gonna last, and you're gonna see in 10 or 15 years from now. So yeah, that's my input so far with e-bikes and how we are not just a bike store, we're a mobility store. And I got plenty of more videos coming out. An update for the shop, if anybody's wanting to know about the shop, last couple of months have been a tremendous success. I can only thank the community around us for coming in and supporting us. Part of it's our adaptability. We're doing very well with e-bike repair, with scooter repair, since all the bike shops in the area just don't want to touch any of this stuff. We're pretty much the only bike shop within maybe 50 miles that will do any of this stuff, or at least attempt to do this stuff for customers. And these customers love their e-bikes. Like, you can say it's a cheapo Amazon bike, but it doesn't mean that they don't love their e-bike and it's getting them outside and getting them around. And I want to be the person there in the local community that's supporting those people who are passionate about their e-bikes, regardless of how much money they paid for them or how many problems they have. Hopefully I can get them into a better e-bike in the future. And then other things that we're doing that have been tremendously helpful for us is we've been out in the community volunteering for events. We have more events coming up in the future that we're going to support. So yeah, that's it for now. And as things are going to slow down here in the fall for us as a bike shop, I'm going to be making a tremendous amount of content, possibly going through these different e-bikes. Since there's not a lot of solutions on YouTube on how to fix these things, it's a huge opportunity to create how-to videos and generate traffic on our YouTube channel, which then we were just monetized. I didn't share that. 1 week ago, we are now officially monetized as a YouTube channel. This took me way longer than I thought it would take, but yeah, we're monetized. So thanks for watching the channel. If you watch the commercials, maybe I'll get paid $5 here next month as a new monetized channel. And then we're gonna link up some stuff. 1 second, let me show you some things. Because I have my own clothing printer and we can do our own designs, I am gonna put some of these hoodies out here in October. The Go Grava Dirt Bags hoodie, we're gonna have available. We actually print and ship from this store. This is not drop shipping. And then I have this zip up, very soft Bella Canvas hoodie. So I'll put that notice out and then I'll probably drop it in the, since we are monetized, I can put a shop on YouTube and you can buy things there to support the channel and everything that we're doing here. So great, super grateful for this local support that we have, and I cannot wait to get the national support or international support as we keep moving forward into this new kind of bike shop, this disruption, and everything that's going on. So till I talk to you later, bye.